All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And this video is not for any monetary gain. It is explicitly for the reasons stipulated in the Copyright Act of 1976 under Section 107.
Virginia didn't just resist integration in one county, it built an entire statewide plan to block it. After the Supreme Court's Brown versus Board decision in 1954, Virginia leaders launched what they proudly called massive resistance. It wasn't just Prince Edward County, it was an entire political strategy. Governor Harry Byrd and the Byrd Organization pushed laws to cut off funding for any school that tried to integrate. Public education itself was held hostage to preserve segregation. While some schools closed, white families were funneled into private academies, often supported quietly by state money. Black students, meanwhile, were left with few options. Some went years without equal access to education. Massive resistance made Virginia the model for blocking civil rights across the South. And even when the courts struck it down, the damage was already done to thousands of black children and families. Virginia didn't erase this story, it buried it under legal language and political power. If you never learned this in school, hit follow.
All right, Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone. Here to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Akakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, before we get into it, we just want to declare fair use, fair use, fair use, according to the Copyright Act of 1976, as stipulated under Section 107. There's no monetary gain from this video. It is strictly for the teachers of teaching history as it relates to the scriptures concerning the Israelites, who are your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. As you see on the screen, today we're going to be dealing with the Virginia governor backs segregation. This is dealing with, what happened with the Brown versus Board decision in 1954. This particular governor that we'll be discussing in this lesson actually followed off of the heels of his predecessor, Harry Byrd, Governor Harry Byrd of Virginia, pretty much doing everything they could to keep the so-called Negroes out of their school system. All right, this article, we will put a link to it in the description box. It's from EJI, which is the Equality Justice Initiative. A link to this article will be in the description box of this video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the opening scripture, Obadiah 1 and 10.
Obadiah, verse 10, says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee."
Kind of, hey, that's what we going into, week in and week out, man. All right, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man's violence against the nation of Israel, man. All right, as you know, Esau has been a thorn in Israel's side for years, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, whether it's something that they try to do physically, man, all right, verbally, all right, through their systems or things like that. Esau is always looking at ways to take down the nation of Israel, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so guess what? He's going to be paid back, man.
Yep.
All right.
That goes all the way back to Genesis 27. You know, we said in the days of my father Isaac hand, you know, I'm going to slay my brother Jacob, you know. And if you slay Jacob, there's no 12 tribes of Israel.
We go to the article.
Yeah. Did you have the rest of that scripture?
Oh, it says, for thy violence, verse 10, it says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
Constantly, hey, this is a future prophecy or Esau's expected end, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is what's going to happen to Esau, man. All right, when our Lord Yahweh Shai returns, guess what? America's going to be destroyed. All right, and Esau, Edom, so the so-called white man, is going in the chains, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then after he served out his time in servitude, guess what? He's going to be cut off as a nation, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's no longer going to exist anymore, man. He's going to be a thing of the past.
Yep.
All right, that's the expected end for you so-called white men. All right, Esau, Edom. All right, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, man, the so-called Israelites, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who are so-called the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right.
Yeah, it says also too, it says shame shall cover you, and that's what you're seeing is going on right now every day, you know, 365, 24/7 since this truth has come out. All right, his history, you know, that's why, you know, the dude in office right now is trying to erase everything. You know, all the history that either the so-called Negroes have contributed to this land or what they did to the Negroes in this land since they've been over here. Okay, and that's all over the world. You know, not only just North America, South America as well, and anywhere else Jake dwells. And now that shame is covering you. You don't want your history. You don't want to be everybody except the Edomites. You stole everybody else's culture. You know, everybody else's resources, okay, and heaped it to yourself. All right, but like he said, you know, you're going to be pretty much exterminated. You know, the scriptures say, this is Job 20:8, says, he shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he should be chased away as a vision of the night. So that's your end. You know, after you served that slavery twice as long and twice as hard in righteousness, okay? We're not going to be doing the heinous stuff that you was doing. You know, cutting off rods, buck breaking, cutting babies' bellies out of the stomach, you know, out of a woman's stomach. No, that's not going to be the case. But, you know, the thing is, you're going to pay for what you did. All right? So without further ado, we go ahead and get into the article. As you see on the screen, it says, Virginia governor vows to close public schools rather than integrate. All right? Goes on and says, on August 24th, 1956, Virginia Governor Thomas Stanley pledged to close Virginia public schools rather than permit any racial integration. It says, if we accept admission of one Negro child into a white school, it's all over. We will have given up, he said. Goes on, it says, Governor Stanley's remarks flagrantly defile the 1954 Supreme Court ruling in Brown versus Board of Education that segregation in public education was unconstitutional. And once again, you know, he's following on the heels of his predecessor, Harry Byrd, you know, who was leading what was called the massive resistance program that was profiled in the video that preceded this lesson. All right. It says, go back to the article. It says the governor's remarks also signaled his rejection of a rival plan by some Virginia politicians who sought to preserve segregation while appearing to abide by the court's decision that would give all students in the state the choice between attending a segregated school or an integrated one. All right. It says the same day, the governor received a petition signed by 30,000 Virginians asking him to do everything to maintain segregation in the state's schools, and Governor Stanley claimed his plan was supported by at least 95% of all white people in Virginia. It says,
I got a precept real quick. This is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Mm-hmm. All right, and you know, this is a prime example of what was going on, man. All right, hey, that woe going into death and destruction, man. To them that devise iniquity, man, being Esau, Edom, man. All right, because through this, what we're reading right now, all right, they don't want, that shows that their hatred, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they don't even want Jake near them, man. All right, they want to keep Jake low, all right, and suppressed, man. All right, that's what they was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this goes to show that that true hatred that they have, man. All right, it says, and work evil upon the beds, and when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. All right, and we understand that the earth was given into his hands, all right, at this current point in time, and what he chose to do with it is try to destroy the nation of Israel, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and this was a prime example, man. All right, not trying to put them in their schools, man, and things like that. All right, trying to hold them back. All right, keeping everything segregated, which at the end of the day, we ain't really got a problem with it. But like I said, it goes to show that hatred, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, that because scriptures say, we're a peculiar nation, above all nations on the earth, and they have wanted to keep us out of the schools, but that's part of those curses. This is the book of Job, chapter 30, verse 9. It says, and now, let me start at verse 8. It says, they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. So, we bring that out all the time. That's definitely talking about Esau. He's vile on the earth. Okay, so we know the earth will now yield this increase or strength to him. Okay, because he's such a vile man. And the scriptures tell us to destroy him that destroys the earth. Who was doing that? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. It says, verse 9, and now I am their song. Yea, I am their byword, and that's the thing, that they mock us, with songs, propaganda, all types of mess, and it's spread all over the globe. Everybody hates Jake, It says, verse 10, and the point, said, they abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face. All right? So it's going back to what you were saying about that hatred. They hate Jake so much, that they come into our spaces, but don't want any part of us. Like that saying goes, they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. All right? They want to take everything from us. Because they know Jake, you got to think about it. This is 1956. All right? Look at what happened with Jake during the Reconstruction period. After all those years of slavery, we had communities that surpassed them. Mm-hmm. Okay? Don't even have our own language. All right? But yet we were surpassing them. And they have the nerve today with these so-called white communities to try to gaslight Jake and say, we're jealous of them. No. Even those communities of old that you destroyed are going to far exceed what you have right now. All right? Because they were all self-sustaining. You all hated that. You all destroyed it, and you have the backing of the U.S. government to help you do it, which is what we're seeing right here with this article. The U.S. government has always had a hand in our demise, and Jake continues to ask for reparations. You don't go begging the system for reparations when they cause you to beat it in the first place. All right?
I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah.
All right, this the book of Zechariah. It's just a quick one. The book of Zechariah, chapter 1, all right, in verse 15, it says, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they held forth the affliction. All right, and this is a prime example, man. All right, because hey, guess what? During the 50s, I wouldn't say things began to slow down, but it wasn't as gruesome, as it was before then, man. All right, and this is a prime example of them, forward in the affliction, man. Mm-hmm. All right, keeping their foot on Israel's neck, man. All right, and it said, hey, displeased with the heathen that are at ease. You are at ease, man. All right, because currently you're in power here in Babylon, man. All right, so you think that the things that you're doing, you're not gonna have to. There's not gonna be recompense for that, man. All right, so you are at ease, man. All right, you think you're just gonna get away scot-free from all the things that you've done to the nation of Israel, man. All right.
I got a precept to back you up on that part. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 10, verse 5, and it reads, "His ways are always grievous." All right, always grievous. It's annoying to us, causing us grief. You know, we were just talking earlier about previous videos, how, you know, every time we had a thriving community, they come and destroy it, either with man-made lakes or running highways through them, or just taking the land and never even recompensing Jake. Okay, giving them, they didn't pay for nothing. They just come bulldoze them. All right, with by this law that they made up called eminent domain. All right, you paying taxes on stuff. You know, even when you do own the land, you still got to pay taxes on it. You miss those taxes, they take it from you. All right, it says back in the Psalms, chapter 10, verse 5, "His ways are always grievous; thy judgments are far above out of his sight." And once again, going back to what you were saying, he don't think he's going to receive judgment for the hell he's brought on the nation of Israel. You know, even after further reflection, as you just read, it says, "For
just to hit on that point about his judgment being out of his sight." You know, the Elder Gabaria always brings out the point of that's why they exalt themselves as an eagle, man. All right, and guess what? An eagle. There was a show that he said he was watching that said that eagles they're one of the highest flying birds, man. All right, so they don't even have to look up when they're flying. All right, looking for, you know, anything that can take them down, man, because they don't expect anything to be above them, man.
that's pride.
All right, that goes into that pride, man. All right, and his judgment being out of his sight, man, because he can't see it, man.
Yeah.
All right, he doesn't expect any type of recompense or judgment for the things that he's done. That's going right into it, man. All right,
That goes to the part, you know, like you said, he has set himself as the Most High because he think he is the Most High, but he's not. All right. It says, back to Psalms 10 and 5, "His ways are always grievous; thy judgment are far out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them." And why does he do that? That's because the power is in his hands right now. Okay, this place is a punishment. You know, the wicked is the sword of the Lord, according to Psalm 17:13. All right. It told us don't avenge ourselves, but you got a lot of Jakes, you know, looking to do that. And if we try to do that, he's going to take us out. You know, he is the sword of the Lord right now. So, like you said, you know, you got, you know, don't avenge yourselves. Wait upon me. You know, I will repay. All right. So that's where we are, Jake. And this goes back to us, you know, breaking our covenant with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That's why we're dealing with this. All right. You had something, Laurent?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Did you have more?
No, that was it.
Yeah. And that Puff, you know, I just actually did a dictionary, Webster dictionary, and it actually goes into to speak or act in a scornful, conceited, or exaggerated manner. You know, so you know, through their laws, and you know, because pretty much once they have gotten us to the point that we were utterly destroyed, you know, as Deuteronomy 28 will tell you, you know, all these curses will come upon thee until thou have been destroyed. We and completely having no might in our hand. Then they started going into setting up certain laws, vagrancy, discriminating against, of course, the father. You know, no father in the house rule. They started setting up situations like, again, the school systems, of course. The white school systems were receiving updated books, materials, buses, and things of that nature, which to a point forced the hand of Jake to want to go into to receive better education. And then as the process of it, of course, Amalek and his witchcraft, you know, his trickery is like, no, let's keep them out of the schools. And then, of course, Jake is going to then try to fight even harder to be in something where we were actually doing better outside of it. But I have this here. This is the book of Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. It says, "Be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And so we know that to sow discord, the things in which Esau Edom has done, to our people, this being one of them, purposely blocking the so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Native American man from actually receiving, and woman receiving higher education or the best things of life, or even having access. These things are going to happen unto you.
Yep.
Right. So even to the point of causing many to fall and to die. These things are going to come rolling upon your own head.
Yep.
All your mischievous dealings is going to come down upon you. And of course, those that are sowing the truth, like the prophets started when I had apostles and elders, bringing out the true knowledge of what's going on through the scriptures, and the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai is going to reap life everlasting. Hopefully we be those men to get that first ride. All right.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Jake got to remember, you scoffing at the prophets. The prophets are telling you who you are. Once we identify who these people are and what their habits are, what they've done to us in the past, there's no way you should want to be conjoined with them. The worst people on earth.
And we keep bringing up the thing of the government because look at what's happening now today. So those things that happened in the past, though we get out in the scriptures, we learn from the history, and we see the patterns that are happening. Anytime the government went into so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American neighborhoods, they actually were aiding white supremacy.
The civilians, yeah.
So now we have, Trump, he's actually taken, army troops into highly populated Black areas, so-called. And we know that him going into these areas and the people that he's actually pointing out are you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Yeah. And what do you say? He wants to walk with the police while he's doing it too, while they out there.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's the pride, the conceit, the puffing up that we're speaking of to this day.
Yep.
So just what we're reading on now, which was historical, is just showing that all the patterns in which we brought out with the violence against thy brother Jacob, pretty much is the same thing, the same playbook.
Yep. Exactly.
Can a leopard change his spots?
Can an unclean thing come out of a clean thing?
Right.
Yep. And to that point too, here again, Jake is still trying to, invite this nation of people, into what was for us, exclusively for us. No matter how many times you show them that the Lord is only for the nation of Israel, they still think everybody else can be saved. And we saw a perfect example of that within the last week. This Edomite woman, her and her husband was on a bike. She started talking shit to us, and as Elder D-Match put it, you know what? I gotta respect her. But he said, but look at what happened with the so-called Black woman when those Nazis were marching downtown. We still love you. And he's out there saying nigger this and nigger that. We hate niggers. But that's just the way it is. So, and Jake needs to pull away from that. These people don't want to be around you. They want to profit off you. That's all to it. All right? I'm going to go back to the article. This is, back into the article. It says the next month, the Virginia General Assembly approved Governor Stanley's so-called Stanley Plan, under which the governor could close and withdraw funding from any school that tried to integrate. 9 schools were soon closed in Warren County, Charlottesville, and Norfolk. So he closed those schools down because they didn't want Israelites there, aka so-called Black people. All right, close them down. It goes on, it says, additionally, the state school system was placed in the hands of the governor, who created a board.
It's like, if I can jump in real quick, hey, that's that like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it, that hatred, man.
Yep.
All right, Esau, he'll hold his own people back if that means Jake doesn't advance, man. All right. And like the brother was going into, you still got Jake out here talking about they love Esau, or they calling saying they hate you to your face, man. All right. But soon come, all right, this devil, he's really going to show you his horns, man. All right.
I got something to back you up right quick. What you just said, he will hold his own people back. It says, Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 14, verse 5, and it reads, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. Now, you didn't shut down all like 9 schools. That's revenue, okay? You cut that off just so there wouldn't be any Negro presence, okay? And like I said, he that is evil to himself, you affected your own people. For that reason, your hatred of Jake will make your own people collateral damage. And that hasn't changed. We see that right now. Okay? We see that right now. But that's okay. Because, you're making the job easier for Jake, in a couple of ways. In a worse way, you're going to take him out yourself. Or in the second way, they're going to be taking you out. We're seeing that now. All right? Back to the article. It says, additionally, the state school system was placed in the hands of the governor, who created a board to oversee individually all transfers of students between schools. The governor's office made 450,000 pupil assignments without ever permitting a black child to attend a school with white children. It says lawmakers also enacted a tuition grant program that gave over $1 million to white students to attend segregated private schools. It says go ahead.
The power is in their hand.
Yeah.
Right. Can we get that real quick?
Yeah.
Because that is the form of oppression. Because you have the power in your hand, you have the money flow, and you have and then of course you have your secret meetings and all these things that you're doing, and then yet you go, okay, we'll take $1 million and we'll award white students to attend segregated and private schools. So then of course you create a collective group of people that are in the know, while you then at the same time cast out, or the outcast of Israel. You go ahead. You got it?
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's back in Micah 2:1.
Yep.
It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds.
You did bring this out, right?
Come.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, kind of. So like
It says, when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
Yeah. So go read the next part.
Gone. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away.
So initially, a lot of those lands were so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indian lands, and now that they've taken the land, they did what? What's the next part?
It says, and they take them by violence.
Yeah, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob. This is the shame. Go ahead.
And houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
Yeah. So it's just kind of going back full circle of what they do. Okay. They see something they like, they take it. And then when they take it, they then find ways through their unrighteous decrees.
I got something to back you up on that.
Go ahead.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 94. And start at verse 20. It says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? Okay, again, to suppress you, keep you out, destroy the foundation of Jake having any type of generational wealth with the education system. It says, verse 21, they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. All right. Here again, they want no part of Jake. And to enforce that, they will kill you. All right, you know, that's collectively what he had all those signatures, and then the whole assembly, you know, backed it. You know, it says, verse 22, but Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is my defense, and my power is the rock of my refuge. And he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, Yahweh our power shall cut them off. You know, and that was going back to what you were mentioning earlier. You know, when you, I think you quoted Proverbs 26 about how when they create something to harm us, it's really going to come back on them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that and that's what's happening here. You know, and then but see, you know, you fast forward. We were just talking the other day about you know, you want to keep us out of school, and this is just not on the elementary level. This is all throughout college. You hear the story about Bear Bryant. You know, USC was integrated. Bear Bryant, Alabama, head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, didn't want any black players on this team until they played him. I mean, he's like, like, what was that? Yeah, they couldn't match that speed and that strength, you know, and they beat the dog shit out of Alabama. I mean, beat them terrible. So right after that happened, what did they do? Mm-hmm. Look at old boy now. I think he's gone. At Alabama now. He was at LSU, and he was with the Miami Dolphins. What's his name? What's that coach's name? Yeah, he's the current Alabama coach. Look him up right quick. He's known for having get-togethers and, you know,
Kalen DeBoer
of Alabama.
Yeah.
Crimson Tide. No, who's
Nick Saban?
Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Nick Saban. That's his name. Nick Saban. Yeah, it was him. Yeah, he was known. You know, you see him in the parties with the single mom and stuff. You know, getting them kids to come over there. Yeah, because they know Jake's is something special. All right. So yeah, they're gonna have to pay for this. Everything that they've done to us in the past is coming back on them, according to Deuteronomy 30:7. All right. Let's go back to the article. It says, while aspects of the Stanley Plan were eventually ruled unconstitutional by the state and federal courts, white Virginians were largely successful in preventing the integration of public schools in the state. And you got that same thing going on right now, just in the reverse. You know, the Constitution is gone off of the White House website. Yeah. They don't care about them laws, man. Especially when we too close to them. You know, overtaking them. It says, 5 years after the Brown ruling, fewer than 1% of black students in Virginia attended an integrated public school. 10 years after Brown, that number had only increased to 5%. So they were holding strong. And like I said, his predecessor, Governor Harry Byrd, was part of this, it was called the Massive Resistance Movement. Okay. So it was still working. It was slow progress, but after 10 years, only a 4% increase. All right. That was working, you know. It's the last paragraph. It says, the principles of the Stanley Plan were widely copied in other southern states. And here we go. To read more about the massive resistance of white southern elected officials and their supporters to the integration of public schools, read EJI's report, Segregation in America. And there's a hyperlink to that Segregation in America within this article, so you can read that at your leisure. All right? Got anything else? No. All right, so with that, we hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, going to give all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash.
Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Arkin who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwame Yasharallah.
Abba Babal.
Blah, blah, blah.
All right, we got next. Shalom.